Hello, good evening. We'll wait for a couple of minutes for our guests to join and also for others to start viewing. So today's topic is very, very interesting. It is relationship challenges in pandemic. I'm sure most of us are going through some of those issues. So that can help us with understanding how to tackle the relationship issues. Hi,
Hi.
how are you?
Oh, good, good, good. The
Long day.
weather is so nice. I didn't want to join the live. I wanted to sleep through.
The weather is so good, I didn't want to start the live.
Yeah. But good thing you have chai with Charan, okay? So at least I can have a cup of tea in between. Next time, probably chai samosa with Charan or something would be good.
Chai, samosa, biryani, all like 7 course meal with
Yeah,
Charan.
great. Hyderabad biryani, you can't.
Yeah, I know. So, hi, welcome, Dr. Shweta. So, can you please introduce yourself to the viewers?
Okay, there's not much to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Shweta Purkanti. I practice in Manikonda. I'm a psychiatrist. That's all I think. My basic areas of interest are anxiety disorders and addiction disorders. And I am looking forward to treating my patients more holistically, like the kind of training we used to have many years back. It used to be very, patient used to be treated according to the disorder. Now, as that system is changing, I look forward to treating my patients as people, as people suffering from a particular disorder and the problems arising out of it. So this talk gives me an opportunity even to explore how I am dealing with problems on day-to-day basis with my patients and even in my personal life. My husband chuckled when I told him we are going to talk about relationship problems. He's like, you're going to talk a lot from your personal experience, probably. So,
I think first-hand experience is the best way to incorporate in
yeah,
medicine, at
yeah.
least into mental health.
The person who is burnt knows the heat of the fire, I think.
Yeah, true, true. Very, very well said. So Dr. Shweta is my colleague. So she studied from Madras Medical College. So she has good expertise in areas of relationship issues. She's not a counselor. She's a doctor. So we're gonna talk like doctors. Uh, Also, we're gonna keep the conversation very um, organic. So we don't have any fixed format. We don't have any fixed questions that we prepare on. So it's a very tea time conversation between two doctors. So that's what you can expect. If you have any questions, you can just shoot in the comment section. They should be answered in the live or in the end of the live. So Dr. Shweta, I'll tell you why I chose this particular topic because a lot of things have changed since pandemic, and the pandemic has become a new way of living, and we are getting adapted to it. But in the beginning, initial part, what has happened is everybody was made to be crammed up in one space, familiar people, unfamiliar people. So there were many interesting developments that happened. Some not so good, some very good. So I think the good things are that family members got more time together with each other, siblings got more time with each other, fathers especially got more time with children. Mothers, yes, I mean they had their own burdens. But not so good things is that people who are already suffering with interpersonal marital issues, they had their own routine, they had their own friend circle, job that kept them very busy. So they would just come home, and I know a lot of couple would even sleep in like separate rooms. All of that was happening, but now with kids coming home, having online class in the house, and probably even parents were coming home and staying with them, in-laws. So some of them had to do pretend as well, like there's it's a functional marriage. So a lot of issues have surfaced. What is your experience in the last 1.5 years in terms of relationships? How did they change? How did the pandemic change it?
Okay. As far as relationships are concerned, when 2020 started, honestly speaking, me and my husband, we were feeling like as if we are in the middle of movie DLJ. Singing songs, having breakfast together, having lunch together. We see each other every day. We compliments me on my dresses and I compliment him. It went on well. For some time, the bosses were a little lenient, the work hours were not so hectic, kids didn't have online classes, in-laws were away, parents were away, so it was fine. After about 2 or 3 months later, once the pandemic reality started setting in and we started having people around me, I knew of some friends of mine who got COVID, or we started feeling that the COVID pandemic threat is real. Then the and online classes started. My husband's work schedule became very erratic. My work became very became the normal thing. I have to go and come back at the particular time. Then we started realizing that there were some problems which resurfaced in our relationship. We have been married for quite some time, 12 years now. So, and it was going on quite well till the time pandemic set in actually. Once the pandemic set in, we had to rearrange every damn thing about our relationship, about everything about the way human beings generally thrive very well when there is a structured environment, when there is less uncertainty. We tend to grow more. We feel, though uncertainty is always there around us, but that is out of our sight, so we don't know whether uncertainty is there or not. So when this pandemic came on, we had to change how we worked. We had to change how we socialized. We had to change how we educated our children. We had to change the traditional definitions of what a woman does and what a man does. As the old Sanskrit saying is there, Karyeshu Dasi, Karaneshu Mantri, Bhojeshu Mata, Shayaneshu Rambha. So a woman is supposed to do work like a maid, then feed like a mother, then do all the things like a minister, and then at night be the sexy, seductive sultress. It wasn't working very well. But one silver lining of this pandemic has been that we have rearranged how relationships work. In Indian settings, generally, I feel communication is not much stressed upon. We are not taught how to communicate with our husbands. Husbands are not taught how to communicate with wives. But this pandemic has brought to fore how important communication is, how important companionship is, and all those things. And I feel by rearranging and working through the new setup and making it work, we are setting a good example for the future generation to follow. Probably they will learn that my mom can do the dishes, but my father also does the dishes. Or my mom does go to office, my father also does. So I think this pandemic is good in a way that we are rearranging our family values. We are learning, we are teaching better, we are teaching our children better, I think. So as far as pandemic problems, relationship problems which the patients have come to me mostly have been either that they have too much time together. They're all the time in your face. I see him all the time, ma'am. I'm just bored of him. I see him all the time in the pajamas. He doesn't bath. He stays like that. And the husband is also, she's all the time working in the house. She's all the time in front of me. Or they don't have time at all. You have kids, you have in-laws, you have to go to work, you have other work schedules to manage. We don't get time to even talk nowadays. The second problem people have come up with, lack of personal space. See, personal space as such, when you used to go to office, you get some space. Physically, there is a demarcation. Like you don't see that person for a few hours. He's out of your mind. He's out of your sight, out of your mind. But now with the pandemic, you both are sitting in the same room, probably working on two computers. How can you avoid a person? How can you have the concept of personal space? How to explain? Personal space is not a very what a popular concept in Indian customs. People tend to, you can't be alone. If you're alone, either you're depressed or something is wrong with you. So people tend to come and intrude into your personal space a lot. The third thing I felt is in this pandemic, what has come up more is unequal responsibilities, sharing of responsibilities between husband and wife or partners, whoever. And one more thing is financial, as far as financial priorities are concerned, the differences in financial priorities has come to fore in relationships. And all of us, because of this pandemic, are quite anxious. Okay, the uncertainty, the fear of falling ill, the job pressure, the fear that I may not have a job this year, or I may not get a proper appraisal, or I may not get enough money. So all these things have added to us being on the vigil all the time, hyper vigilant all the time. Probably your partner doesn't process stress as well as you do. So he is acting out more and you're acting out less. You think that he should he should act in a particular manner, but he's not acting. So that is also one set of problems which are coming to fore. But overall, after analyzing all these things, I've basically felt it again comes down to basics of a partnership or a marriage or a spousal relationship. I feel there are 5 pillars of any relationship, romantic relationship. First, I will say is companionship. First is personal space, I will say.
Yeah.
Second is companionship. Third will be communication. Fourth will be distribution of chores or works or whatever is there. Fifth will be sexual compatibility, and sixth will be finances. The goals of two partners, financial goals, should be in line. At least not same goals. At least they should be at least in sync. So when it comes to communication, when it comes to personal space, first thing I feel is if you want to have a successful relationship with anybody, first thing you should take care of is yourself. If you don't have self-love, if your relationship with you is not good, you cannot have a meaningful or productive relationship with anybody. Okay, so we need to have, we as women or men for that matter, anybody for that matter, needs to take care of themselves, need to have a proper work schedule, proper workout schedule, proper eating schedule. Even if you're working from 11 to night 11 o'clock, there should be a time when you shut down your computer and you have a proper routine that will help you set other things like for workout or for time with your family and other things. Second thing I feel is personal space. How do you make personal space when you're living in a small space?
Small space.
Personal space is something you, in this communication plays a very important role. You need to make it clear to your husband or your partner that this time, this particular time, this half an hour or 15 minutes is my time. I'm gonna take it no matter what. Kindly don't come and disturb. In case he comes and disturbs also, you should have that much freedom to tell him that no, I will deal with it a little later. So even if you are sitting in the same room, he's doing something on his computer and you're watching Black Widow, you should be allowed to watch it. That's what I feel. So, and not have any comments in between or any, sometimes you just need that space for yourself for getting back your sanity, I feel. Okay, that's the number one thing. The second thing I feel is companionship. Many people are complaining we are staying together, but we don't spend any time together. How to remedy that? We have children, we have parents around, and it's becoming very, very difficult. So you should, I think, we should find more meaningful ways to connect in the way, for example, I love gardening. My husband helps me out with gardening sometimes. Or I'm doing a simple task of making vegetable rice for a day or biryani for a day. He comes and chops vegetables, we talk. So these things help bonding between partners, I feel. And in this pandemic period, when we don't go out, we don't have date nights, we're not going for movies, we don't eat out, all the time children and everybody is around. Even bonding over such mundane tasks becomes very, very important. I also feel a concept of date night. We are not going out, but we can dress up for our partner. And probably when the kids are asleep, if you have kids, when the kids are asleep, night 11:30 also, even if it is for a... Hello? Is it working?
Yeah, I think you're back. Yeah. You
I'm
said
back.
even at 11:30, even for half an hour.
Yeah, and one very important thing is we can use technology to our advantage to connect with each other. We can, the simplest of the simple thing will be a hi in the day when you're working will be very wonderful. Once in a while, you were looking very beautiful in the morning, will be very nice. Or talking to each other on chat, did you have lunch or did you have dinner? When you're away, I'm just saying, when you're away, when you're together also, sometimes I feel if you want to communicate something which you don't want the children or in-laws to listen or hear, you can always use technology. But technology is like a double-edged sword. You should know when to put it away when you're with your partner. This is number one thing about companionship. Second thing, I feel communication. Communication is one thing which we are never taught in our this thing. How to talk, how to talk about negative emotions. If there is a, we are taught generally, if there is a conflict, it is unhealthy to the relationship. I feel and I tell all my clients is conflict is good. Conflict means you're you have difference of opinion, you're ready to slog it out and you're ready to sort it out. You care enough to talk about it. You care enough to fight about it. But the problem comes with the intensity and the frequency of conflicts. Okay,
Conflict.
and the conflicts and how you go about with the conflict. In case you have a conflict, I always tell my clients, if you're stressed, it's better to listen than to talk. If you're angry, just listen rather than talk. So in communication styles, positive communication is very important. This time, this pandemic time, I think criticism should be something which should be banned completely. If you can appreciate, please appreciate. If you can't appreciate, just hold your silence. Everybody is going through such a tough time. You do not know what the other person, even if he's your partner or husband or anybody, you do not know what that person is facing. Rather than being angry or furious about how he's acting, have a childlike curiosity about why is he acting like that, what is propelling him to act like that. He used to be a very reasonable person till some time back. Why is he acting? That childlike curiosity and empathy towards that person, step into that person's shoes and stand for 10 minutes and think why. That might help you. And I also have a thing we used to do with me and my husband. When we are very angry, any of us can ask for a timeout. So it's like, you're very angry right now, I will not talk to you, let's have a timeout. After half an hour, I will give you full attention, I'll come back to you and we'll talk it out. By half an hour, usually the person who is angry generally calms down, is able to articulate their thoughts better, and then the conflict is not about who's winning or who's losing amongst partners. It shouldn't be. It should be about a resolution to get a productive solution from the problem. What is the difference of opinion? How we can sort it out. In the end, you both should act as if you are one unit. And this holds true even in COVID times or otherwise. COVID times being a stressful time, this becomes even more important. If it is a very big problem, I feel splitting it into smaller problems and solving it one by one helps sometimes. Letting it sleep over it sometimes, brood over it sometimes, and after 1 or 2 days, you tend to find a better solution rather than just rushing like a bull and going with 2 hands. Sometimes holding back, waiting, and watching helps. Sometimes even writing down issues. Some clients of mine, very smart clients, used to, whenever they were very angry with each other, they wouldn't talk. They will mail each other. So in writing an email to each other, they get time to properly, they wouldn't, and they had a rule, they will not write any profanities in the mail. That was a rule. 2 rules. You can write a mail, you will not write profanities, you will not bring a third person, you will not bring my mother, my father, nobody. So they will write a mail to each other. It will be read and replied in due time. I really like that idea and I try to inculcate, but I'm not very good technologically probably. And I burst out very easily. So that doesn't work, but that's a very wonderful idea. I felt you write to each other and just let it be. Let the person think about it and answer. So this always helps. There are, in communication also, there are 4 things which are signs of bad communication, I feel. One is especially in relationships, criticism, contempt towards each other, stonewalling, and defensiveness. When a person is trying to put across a point, listen to it completely. Active listening doesn't mean just it goes into your this ear and comes out of this ear. It goes in, you process it, you understand it, and then you reply. So instead of reacting, responding to situations, responding to problems your partner has put across usually helps. Another thing I feel in relationship nowadays is imbalance in chores. Who does what? How to do that? When you have in-laws around, when you have children around, it's generally the responsibility of the woman to take care of the house, to cook, to clean, to do everything. For a good part of 2020, we didn't have helpers and nannies and nobody, even drivers. So we were everything. We were the person who helped, we were the person who cleaned, we were the people who cooked. How to do that? And husbands or wives, whoever was taking whatever responsibility, we wanted the status quo to be maintained. Whenever there is a change, there is bound to be conflict. But change is a good thing. It means that we are growing. So over a period of time, if it continues in the same manner, the person who is doing more, the resentment will build over a period of time. It will just burst and it will become a bigger problem. So I feel open communication is very important. Many of the women, they think that husband should understand what I want. I will not tell. He should know I'm doing it. please say, state what you want. Just state it. What क्या जैसे हिंदी में बोलते हैं क्या घिस जाएगा क्या हो जाएगा. Just say. If it does, good. If it doesn't do, then let's see what to do next. But state. Don't think that they are mind readers. Nobody is a mind reader, not even your husband or your mother or anybody. Just state what you want clearly. Every day in the morning, probably you can make a list. In the morning or in the week, you can make a list of things which have to be done, and always divide them accordingly. Sit together and divide what can be done by whom. Always there in the relationship, one person will do more than the other, and according to their own capacities, you decide and do it. Divide and do it. That's a better thing. Another thing I feel is appreciate. Even if he does a small, like I was coming for this chai for Charan, my husband made a cup of tea. I told him thank you some 5 times. So appreciation, like we are very stingy with appreciation and very what to say. We give criticism out like
Generous with
it's for
criticism.
yeah, generous with criticism. We criticize so easily. The ease with which you criticize, doubly, please appreciate. Appreciating you will nothing will go off you. It will not make you smaller or anything. It will make you a bigger person. I feel always. So appreciate even the smallest of the smallest tasks your partner does, and that will help him positively. It's a principle of positive reinforcement. He will be reinforced to do more probably next time. Oh, I made a cup of tea. My wife is so happy. I'll make samosas also next time. So it's like that. And so this is another thing. So the fourth thing is nowadays because of the COVID-19 pandemic, financial situations have become tough. Whether many of them have lost jobs, many of them haven't got the appraisal they were expecting, many of them were trying to build houses, buy cars and such things. They had to stop. What to do? How to manage all this? So you need to sit and talk about what your long-term and short-term financial goals are. So and come to agreement. All these things are in all these things. The most important thing is communication.
Yeah.
Okay. So you sit and talk about what your short-term goals are, what your long-term goals are, what goals can be accommodated, what goals are. We even have the system of urgent, important, not urgent, important, not important and urgent. Such system we have 4 columns you do, and things which are not important and not urgent probably put it off for 2 years or so. COVID-19 pandemic is like GOT, season after season it's coming. I don't know when it will end. So, and with lots of ups and downs, I really can't tell. So it's not going to end anytime soon. So probably we need to plan our financial resources in such a manner only. And some things which are not urgent and not important right now, probably we can put off, like a vacation to Europe or Maldives or something, we can probably put off for a little while. It's not that COVID-19 pandemic is gonna be forever. It's gonna become a part of life. I think it's gonna become endemic, and we're gonna learn to live with it, like we live with HIV and other things. So it's gonna become a part of life. But till then, let's plan. Let's do a little wisely. COVID-19 pandemic has wreaked havoc on relationships, but the action between sheets has gone for toss.
Yeah.
You look at a person all throughout the day in his pajamas, unshaven. How do you find it has completely desexualized your partner for you? How do you manage them? Then in the end, you have very high sexual expectations also. You're staying together all day, you have all the time in the world, so you should have a wonderful sexual life. No, it's not happening like that. Libidos are down, and there is a lot of time for a lot of people, but the interest to do sex is not there, probably because of the stress, because of staying with the person all day, and all those things play a role. So my sincere advice will be tone down your expectations. You will have a sexual life. It's not that you will not have, but tone down your expectations of what great sex will be for certain amount of time. If your partner is anxious, if your partner is stressed out, he will not be able to be very massive and do things. Okay, so you need to tone down your expectations, number one. Number two, intimacy is very important. If you are helping each other all throughout the day, if you are with each other, you're kind to each other, then that will translate to action. It will definitely. It's a very important part. We don't talk to each other each day, all day, and we are busy with our children, with our in-laws and everybody, and suddenly in the night we are ready for sex. It doesn't happen like that. It's not a turn off and on switch. So that's a very important thing. You help out your wife or husband all throughout the day. You're kind to them. You're showing appreciation. That translates to action in sexual this thing also. Probably one more thing you can do is you can dress up for yourself. One thing I have seen in this COVID-19 times is personal hygiene has become defunct. It's not in fashion nowadays. People don't shave. People don't take bath. 2 days. I'm working from. I don't care. I can be in my pajamas. There was one BBC newscaster we were talking about that day. He was sitting in pajamas and doing the newscast. So it's become like that. How do you imagine him to be Hrithik Roshan when he's in his boxers all day?
Yeah.
It's Superman on it. Please. So probably you can dress up for each other. Probably take walks together. Probably exercise together. Such activities generally increase the bonding. Yes, our indoor activities have been limited, but we can as well go for a run together. We can go for cycling together. Hyderabad has plenty of open spaces. We can go somewhere, or
Yeah.
a lot of plenty of opportunities such are there. Or at least do some yoga or something together. That generally tends to increase the intimacy between people. This was about relationships and relationship challenges, I thought, and basic headlines that we could discuss this thing about. One more thing in this whole thing is relationship challenges, I feel, is if your partner is suffering from a mental disorder, you feel. So, what to do? In that sense, be supportive. If you think that it is going beyond his thing, don't stigmatize. Please take him to a mental health care professional. It's very, very important. People are suffering a lot more than what they were probably. It's like a silent pandemic of mental health disorders which is going on. As I told you, everybody is stressed. Stress, depression, anxiety have become like household terms. My 5-year-old is telling me I'm stressed today. I won't do homework today. So it's true. That's how it is. It has become part of their vocabulary.
Yeah.
These all tips were for people who want to work together, husband and wife. But there are certain relationships where there is abuse, domestic violence. Domestic violence need not be only hitting. It can be mental, physical, emotional, financial. So how do you, and recent studies have shown that 1 in 3 people are being subjected to some form of domestic abuse or the other. It can even be verbal abuse.
Yeah.
And it has become, with confined places, increased amount of stress, people being together all the time, seeing the same person. So it has become even more. How to manage that? The knee-jerk reaction will be just run away from there. It doesn't work that way in the real life. Sometimes there are children. Sometimes there are financial implications to it. You are not very financially independent. What do you do? My suggestion to those people will be, in such relationship problems, will be number one, plan. If you think you are in an abusive relationship, first seek help from somebody. There are helplines and there are people. Tell somebody that you're undergoing abuse. The second thing probably you can do is plan how to get out of that abusive relationship, if that is what you plan. If you think that your partner is amenable to some therapy or some form of thing might be helpful, take him to a psychiatrist or whoever might be helpful professional. But if you think that coming out of the relationship is what you want, then you got to plan a little ahead. You need to probably plan your financial independence. Who might be supportive to you socially also? Social stigma is so much when you come out of a relationship.
Yeah.
In our country, that we need support. When you come out of a relationship, you need support, somebody to stand by you. So first plan that. Who will support you socially? How you can become financially independent? Whether you can get a job or not, whether you have some money saved. Usually women, if it is women who are undergoing abuse, or men, if you have some money in your hand, try to save a little and plan and get in touch with agencies who help such people. Probably that will help in form of abuse. But knee-jerk reaction of slapping that person or just walking out of the relationship and applying for divorce doesn't work. Sometimes children are also involved and we have to think of them also. So when you come out of a relationship in this COVID time, it has become even more difficult to provide safe environment for children. So such things, I think, if you are in an abusive relationship, first thing is recognize, then seek help, then plan ahead, make yourself financially and socially independent, and then move on.
Yeah.
I think we have spoken a lot about romantic relationships.
Yeah.
One thing I think is actually skill is the in-laws and the parents and the older generation.
I was about to ask you the same thing. I know if you are crammed up in the same space with in-laws or even parents for that matter. Actually, this one patient
Yeah.
came to me saying that he's very irritated with his own father because his father is coughing all through the day. I said, why is he coughing? He said that he has some respiratory like condition that he's always been coughing, but because he was in the work before, he didn't notice, and now it's so evident. I'm not able to take it in the house. Something as simple as that, especially in a small space, it gets difficult. Look, how can people manage, having like 6 people in one house or 4 people in one house?
So difficult.
Very difficult,
So
yeah.
difficult.
Yeah.
So difficult. Probably the best thing will be we have to understand that one thing is thinking of this COVID-19 pandemic as a temporary situation is like one. It is not going to be forever. It's going to be around for some time. Number one. Number two, probably thinking, yeah, it is gonna be, it is gonna go. So second thing, probably I cannot say, you cannot stop your father from coughing.
Yeah.
Okay. So probably you can empathize. If you were to get cough, you very irritated. I understand. I empathize with you. I understand that it can be quite irritating. I have a child who is 1.5 and who is constantly bawling. I understand. So empathize. If you were in a situation where you had cough and somebody were to complain about you, how would you feel? So probably that perspective might help a little. Um, as far as in-laws and other people are concerned, it is a multifaceted problem. It is not just coughing.
Yeah.
It is generally that they have certain expectations of you, and they have certain expectations of how you behave. They have certain expectations of how you do your work and all that. And on top of that, they may be financially dependent upon you. So all those things add up a lot. So in this also, first thing I would say, anybody of older generation, to better understand them, better tolerate them, or better live with them in harmony, empathy is the most important thing. Stepping into their shoes and thinking, okay, such and such person, my mother-in-law, for example, is 60-year-old. She has retired from job. She's not financially independent. She has joint pain. She's finding it so difficult to live in her own body.
Yeah.
And added to this COVID pandemic, she is not having any friends. She's not going out. She has to live with me all day. Just think of it like that. Probably it will make you a little bit more compassionate towards. Second thing I will say is, as far as your in-laws are concerned, I think you should pick your battles like you do with your children. If they are things which matter in the long run, like for example, how you bring up your children, or how whether you work or not, or what time you work or not, take a stand. Very polite, but stand. Sometimes, if you need to push them back a little, take a polite stand and take the help of your spouse. Have a what is an honest conversation with your spouse and talk to him or her about what you're feeling, about how your in-laws or other people are behaving, and probably ask them to take a stand for you. Very balanced stand. It shouldn't be that they are siding with them so much, siding with you so much that your in-laws stop listening. But a balanced stand, push back a little and hold a little. It's a very fine balance, I would say. The second thing you can do is give them control of certain things. Like for example, who when the maid comes, or how much you pay the maid, or for example, what vegetable is being cooked today, or when is the lunch being served, when is the dinner being. If they are not very big things, it gives them a sense of purpose. They are running the house. Certain things like finances and other things, keep them in your hand because you want them to be according to you. But certain things probably you can give them the roles, some responsibilities nahi, some control you can give to them. Some in-laws and parents are financially dependent upon you, and every time they have to ask you for money for something, it becomes very delicate. So what I would advise in such a situation is have a steady pocket money kind of thing. You give them 5,000 or something in the beginning of the month, or 2,000 rupees, whatever their expenses are accordingly, and don't ask them about their accounts and other things. It gives them a sense of independence.
Yeah.
In that age, I think feeling a sense of control, sense of independence itself is quite important. Some of them are financially independent and they themselves support us. So those people don't require, but giving them a sense of control helps. Sometimes, if they pass some sly comments or something, or say something which really hurts you, just think of them as if they were to pass such a comment, think of how much I personally handle this that way. Think of how much agony they have in their heart to pass such comment about somebody, or how much uh, they are suffering because of their own personality. That's how I think.
Yeah.
I think that's how much they're suffering because of their own personality to pass such a sly comment about me. Okay, just leave it. If it is not a genuine criticism which will help me grow, I just let it be. I throw it in the dustbin and try to forget about it. Though I ruminate for some time, but I try to reason whether it is going to help me or not. Certain situations for them, it was very rigid gender roles. Okay, wife cooked, cleaned, took care of the children, husband went to office, brought money. Now it is not like that. Everybody is doing everything, and everybody has to do everything to survive in this world. So for them to understand that this is going to be like this will take some time. And if you are, I also feel this, that your interaction with your in-laws or your parents uh, reflect on how they judge you, how much they judge you. If you are generally very non-critical of them, you let them be, and you are very, usually, if they are not very, very malicious people, probably it will work out well.
Yeah. Yeah, true. I think one more thing is usually how people team up, right? Ego clashes and teams, right? Always know that, you all are one family and you all are one team. What happens is in fights, husband and wife becomes opposite teams attacking each other. Or husband's parents and wife's parents become opposite teams attacking each other. Just know that you should never say anything to your in-laws that you wouldn't tell your parents, right? And look at them as humans, like not as like father-in-law or mother-in-law or a father or mother. Just see them as vulnerable humans, who have their own demons within them, just like all of us have, and insecurities, and they're acting upon their insecurities. I think having that understanding and having the perspective that it is not me, it is them. They are not directing it towards me, like they're not directing it towards Charan. They're directing towards, it could have been any other person. They're just reflecting upon their own insecurities. So I have nothing to do. But again, if there is a scope for self-improvement, why not some criticism? It's okay. But otherwise, don't take everything they say seriously, and don't try to prove a point in terms of, I have to impress my father, my husband, I have to impress my father-in-law, I have to impress my mother-in-law, I have to impress my kids. It will cause burnout to women. That's what a lot of women are taught to do. They're taught to be so perfect, like perfect wife, mother, daughter, etc. So don't do that. First of all, self-love is very important. Little ways. Tell me some little ways that you do to practice self-love. Probably people will get an idea.
Okay, first thing, this pandemic, first thing I started doing after this pandemic started was I started running again. I had kids, and my kids were growing up. I was so busy bringing them up, I just let it be. And I stopped exercising. I used to eat in the end when everybody was done with their meals and all that. But first thing I started doing is I started exercising regularly every day as a clockwork. No matter what happens, my husband has to take care of children at that time, and I will, or my in-laws have to take care, and I will go for a walk or a run, no matter what happens, except for when they're sick.
Yeah.
Number two, I started doing is, if I'm hungry, I will eat. I will not. Usually, I have seen my mom do it. I've seen my mother-in-law do it. They will eat after everybody has eaten, and I somehow unknowingly just molded myself into that. I will eat after everybody has eaten. I stopped doing that. That is a very small thing, but it gave me, I don't know, it gave me a lot of joy. If I'm hungry, I become very irritable. Okay. So I thought, what's the point of staying till the end and becoming irritable, shouting on everybody? I'd rather I just cook. I finish. I ask everybody, you want to have meals? They say no. Then I sit. I have my lunch or dinner peacefully. Another thing I've started doing is Sunday mornings. I do not get up. If I get up with a book, and I have my cup of coffee, and I sit. Evenings, generally, my husband has started. I've asked him, like, I'm so exhausted by the evening that I've started asking him to make dinner. So he has started stepping up now, and he's finding it. They all kids and my husband, all three of them do it together. So it's become a fun activity for them.
Yeah.
And I don't criticize whatever they make. I'm getting free time. I get time to read. I get time to watch some TV. I get time to catch up with friends. So I take that time with lot of gratitude, with lot of joy, and I thank them. One more thing we started doing is an appreciation board. The place where we have meals, we put up an appreciation board. And anybody, my daughter, my husband, my son doesn't write yet, but they can put an appreciation note for a smallest of the smallest tasks. For example, if I cook something very nice in the morning and go to work, by the time I come back in the afternoon, my daughter writes a note, it was wonderful. Or she can't write wonderful, but whatever she can write, it was good. Or she puts a star. And that makes my day. My husband, you made my bed today, or you ironed my clothes today. He writes it. Even the smallest of the smallest things, we have started making appreciation board. And in the end of the week, who gets maximum appreciation post generally gets a treat and gets to decide what ice cream we order, things like that. So I have this pandemic has taught me that if I am not happy with myself, I'm not going to be able to sustain my relationship with others by becoming a superwoman. I am not a superwoman. I am quite vulnerable. I have only 24 hours in a day, and there is only so much that I can do. I need to if once in a while, if my house is dirty or my clothes are strewn around, if my children are wearing dirty clothes for a day, or I have not done a work at a place of my work, there has been a problem. It's okay. It's fine.
Yeah.
At least I'm able to survive through the day. In this pandemic, it has taught me that to live without illness, to be healthy and live is I should have gratitude for that.
Yeah.
I have seen so many people, so many friends of mine go through such tough times. I feel gratitude for just being alive sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, true. No, but very true. Very true. One important point is, I think I want to put this across, right? A lot of people use these two words. I, in fact, did a reel about this also. I think a lot of people didn't understand what I said in the reel. Using these two words, one is always and never. Never, do not use these two words. For example, you always do this to me. You always are very mean to me. You always are disrespecting my parents. It's not possible that someone is always doing it. So don't use that word always. And the second word is never. You never help me out. You never help me. You never make me feel special. So do not use these two words because they are extreme words. So that can actually hurt someone. And also, like Dr. Shweta said, communication is very important. People communicate in terms of fights, in the times of fights. Like, they layer it, and finally when it becomes a wall, they just, they have such a catastrophic reaction towards it. So instead, if something is bothering you, discuss with your spouse or anybody in good times. Just have a cup of tea and just sit and discuss that, hey, you said this, I actually felt bad. Immediately you'll get a apology. But if you settle in a fight that, how dare you talk to me like that, the other person will say something more mean. It's always going to be ego clash, between two people. So I think these two words should be used very carefully.
One very important thing I forgot to tell you is when you are sorting out a conflict with your partner, I feel it shouldn't be in front of your children. It shouldn't be in front of your in-laws or parents. There have been times when we have just sat down in the bathroom and sorted out conflicts because we didn't want them. At times it even becomes a point for in-laws to use against you, or it becomes blown out of proportion. You would want to say something, your partner would want to say something, and it will become such a big thing that it is just blown out of proportion.
Yeah.
And another thing, when you're communicating with your spouse about a conflict, I feel using you also is not fine. Let's use we. We have not been spending so much time together.
Yeah.
We have not been doing things together. Try to avoid that you and make it we. After all, in the end, you both want to stay in this relationship and you both are trying to work together as a unit. So when you say we, the thing becomes less less hurting, and will evoke a more positive reaction from your partner than saying you. So that's something I'm trying. Actually, I'm not very good at it, but I try.
Yeah, no, it works very well. Like even as simple thing as you're not wearing mask properly, people take offense when you say, I think we should wear mask better just to prevent the COVID. Yeah, when I say we, people have sense of community and they listen better. That is true. So yeah, these words are very.
Let's do this.
Yeah. So we're running out of time. Relationships is like such a ocean, like we can. Yeah. So one last thing is how to balance other relationships, like friendships or extended families or relatives. How do you how do we balance? Because see, people are hanging out no matter what,
Yeah.
COVID wave or not wave, people are hanging out, and you always have this FOMO that I can't go. But then when you go, you're guilty that probably you're putting other people in the house at
Gone and
risk.
probably you bring COVID home.
Yes. Also, if you're called for a wedding, if you're not going because it's season of weddings now, so so how do we say no, and how do we be polite about it? Like, what do you think?
See, I feel that one very good point that works in my favor is when I don't want to socialize is I'm a doctor. So I tell them I don't want to put you in risk. I don't know.
Yeah.
But most times, honest approach is the best. I feel that telling them that I'm really scared about this thing. I have elderly parents at home and I have children at home. It's not personal about you. I would really like to come to your wedding or your party, but I have uh, imminent they may be more in danger because of my this thing, so it's not personal, but I wouldn't be able to come. Honest approach is the best. Sometimes I take the sly approach and say I'm a doctor, I don't want to put you, but honesty is the best thing most times than not. And as far as the friends and other people are concerned, I feel that this is a time for social distancing, not social isolation. Actually, this is the time when we should just stick together. We should find out how our friends are doing. We should call our friends. We have time at hands. We are not traveling. We have traveling time is saved. We probably have time on other days also. So, and we are not hanging out. We are not going for weddings and social gatherings. Probably, why not call up your friends and ask how they are? You don't know what state they are in. So, it's not social isolation. It is social distancing. It shouldn't be just your spouse or husband or the person who is at home who is your support system. If you are sad, you will go and cry in front of him. Probably he is also not able to cope. He's facing the same physical circumstances that you are facing. So building your support system, especially your parents, your sisters, your friends, talking to them frequently, finding out how they are, all these things will help. And this COVID-19 pandemic is not permanent. It's not permanent. I'm telling you, it's not permanent. So we are going to meet up. We're going to do all those things we wanted to do, probably a little differently. Probably we'll wear masks, but we will do all those things very soon, I hope.
Yeah.
So, as I say, social isolation, not social distancing, not social isolation. Talk to people, connect with people. You have Instagram, you have WhatsApp, you like their photos, you do all those things. You talk about past memories. Generally, nostalgia tends to bring out so happy emotions in the brain. You call an old friend and talk about the trip to Goa 2 years back or 3 years back. It makes you so happy.
Yeah.
So happy suddenly. So that thing you can do. But as far as social gatherings and other things are concerned, polite, honest approach is the best, and telling them it is not personal. It is not at all aimed at you. I'm not trying to disrespect you, but this is my concern. Please understand.
Yeah. And
If people are able
say it and mean it. Yeah.
yeah,
No, yeah.
heartfully.
Yeah. There's a concept. I don't know if I was just going through internet the other day. There's a concept called bubble relationships or something like that. Pardon me for the name if I'm wrong. So bubble is where, bubble is where you and couple of your friends, a couple of your cousins of the same interest or age group, you all become a social circle, and you all make sure you're not meeting anyone else, right? But just three of you or whatever, six of you, and you're not going to put anyone else at risk or each other at risk, right? So something like that. Like usually all my friends love coming to my place because I'm very, very hygienic in terms of like respiratory etiquette and all that. Like I'm always wearing masks and I'm sanitizing my car. Anything I touch is sanitized. So if you instill that confidence in people, I think you can form a small bubble and you can meet with masks, and you can have your little parties or gatherings or whatever.
That's a very great idea, actually.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Dr. Shweta. So thank you so much. Anything else? Anything else you want to add before we go?
I don't know, Charan. Relationships are like
Yeah.
आग का दरिया है, डूब के जाना है.
Yeah.
I don't know. It keeps on going and on and on. It's an ongoing process. Relationships and bettering them. But as I said in the beginning, I think this COVID-19 pandemic has given me a chance to rearrange my relationship, rearrange my priorities, and I'm setting a very good example for my daughter and my son, I feel.
Yeah.
And I think we should take this opportunity and do these things. We have time. We have time to communicate. We have time, more time. We have time. All we have in our hands is time.
Yeah, true.
So we should use that in a better manner to probably better our lives more.
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
that's all.
true.
Relationships are
Also,
like, just blows my mind.
yeah. Also, for people who are single and feeling isolated or dejected or whatever, just know that the biggest relationship one person has is with itself only. Then comes with
Well said.
anyone else. Yeah. So use this time effectively to work on yourself and to actually form meaningful conversations. There are many platforms. There's Clubhouse, and there are many platforms that you can actually find like-minded people that can turn into a potential friendship, that can turn into a potential romantic relationship. You never know. So work on yourself and work on your relationship. Maybe it's a good time to pause and reflect on how you function as a this thing, because a lot of us, there's our pattern, our relationships are very similar, and also we learn about a particular relationship based on our past experience. So how I look at my current partner is based upon how I'm with my ex partner, right?
True, true,
So
true.
yeah.
Probably we can restructure those things.
Yeah.
And one very beautiful saying I used to read when I was single: being alone is not being lonely.
Yeah.
Being alone is not being lonely. Sometimes the best times you have is with yourself.
Yeah.
Once you're discovering yourself, you know what you're capable of. It's such an amazing feeling to learn about yourself sometimes. How resilient you are, how patient you can be,
Yeah.
how caring you can be, how much potential you have for other things. I've seen a few people in my community. Uh, they were bachelors living together, and all of them moved out. Two people stayed back, and during this pandemic, they were working from home. They didn't have anything else to do. Our corridors were not being cleaned. These guys took up the responsibility of cleaning the corridors and planting. They were planting trees and plants and all. And honestly, we have set up a sector in our community where we have named those guys there. So you don't know what you can do. They were helping out homeless people, and they were helping out people who are mentally ill and roaming around on roads. They were helping those people. These kids, these boys, probably around 20, 22 or all, they've just joined jobs and they started doing that because they found a higher meaning in life, I felt. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I wouldn't have been able to do, I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was amazing to see such young kids doing such things.
Yeah.
It was really great.
True. I mean, help is not, no, it doesn't have to be financial.
True.
To your own partner also, it's not about buying an expensive gift. It's about simple appreciation that you're looking good, or you're
It's
smelling good.
kindness.
Simple things.
Kindness.
Simple things.
It's
Yeah,
kindness.
yeah. I'm glad. I'm in lockdown with you. I wouldn't want to be with
Yeah.
anyone else but you. These are not like one-liners, but these are actually things that you feel, but you don't say it. You always take each other for granted, thinking that, oh, person already knows. Why should I say these things? They're very cheesy or anything like that. No, express. Always express. It's very, very important in any relationship. If you miss someone, tell that you miss them. Usually men don't express very well because they think it's a very feminine quality to express or to say that I miss you, etc.,
Oh,
etc.
men who express and men who cry are a lot in demand nowadays, I would tell.
True.
Sometimes you don't understand what's going through that man's head.
Yeah.
He can as well say it.
Yeah.
He's just mute, he's just sitting,
Yeah.
brooding. Is he brooding or is he happy? What is he doing when you talk to him? Nothing. You don't. As they say, men are from Mars and women are from Venus. So you never know.
True. True. Well, that was a fun conversation. I think we covered a lot of things.
But
I hope even if like it helps one person out there, I think it's worth it. Right? It's
yes.
time well spent over a cup of tea. Where is your cup of tea? Okay, so cheers. This is what I usually do in the end. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining today. It was great.
Thank you, sir. It was
Bye.
wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Have a good day. Bye.
Yeah, you too.